We still have a code. We live by that code. They have no code. These are genuinely evil, spineless, soulless people. So, Herman Cain, former presidential candidate, American hero, very good guy, radio host, CEO of Godfather's Pizza, turned the company around. Brilliant guy, academic degrees, a resume 4 or 5 pages long. Just a good man. Passed to the coronavirus due to the coronavirus and the complications from it. He was 74 years old. And I want to show you the response by some of the leftists. But before I do that, I want to say in a very serious note, one, God rest the man's patriotic, liberty-loving soul. I told you the story yesterday about Herman Cain as we were on the air. The story broke. It was tough for me to take. It took me a while to get through it. I knew Herman Cain. I knew him well. He was a good and decent man. But I just want you to know that we are different. And on this Friday, I don't like to leave you with terrible, bad news all the time. I want you to hold your head high and know that we are different. Our movement is different. That conservatives and liberty-loving American patriots, you are the decent people, and the leftists out there, not all Democrats, but the leftists, and especially the far left, are definitely evil, radical ghouls. And I said to Paula, when I'm going to show you the response in a minute, but I can insult them all day. They insult themselves by their very existence. Their embarrassments to their families, their generational embarrassments to their grandparents, and anyone they'll spawn in the future will have to deal with the fact that they're related to these ghouls. But I could go on about that all day. I just want you to bow your head and thank the Lord that you are not them. Know that there's a right side of right and a wrong side of right, and you're on the right side of it. Thank God you're not these people. And I'm not using the Lord's name in vain. Literally, thank the Lord you are not one of these total, epic, complete life failure losers. Here's Kank. Kank, one of the young turds. Kank, he's been around a while. He's the guy who has a viral video for being a loser, melting down in a temper tantrum the night President Trump won. Remember that viral video? That's Kank. So Kank, who's one of the dumbest human beings on the planet, by the way, if you've ever watched him debate, there's one debate with Ben Shapiro that's hilarious where he just tries to make up economic theories. So here's his tweet about Herman Cain, 1,000 times the man Kank is. He says, before he died, Herman Cain said his God was stronger than coronavirus. Coronavirus disagreed. Hashtag silence is real. Keep in mind that's who Kank is. Now, Kank is a disgusting filth bag, and Kank will lose no sponsors on whatever show or anything because he's a leftist, which means he's a ghoul. He's an evil ghoul, a soulless human being without an ounce of dignity, courage, or spine. Kank runs every time he runs into a serious person. He runs away because he's a coward. But Kank won't lose a single sponsor from this. If I were to say that about the death of a prominent liberal, which I would never, and I hope you understand that. That's the kind of thing. It's not funny. It's never funny. It's not the subject of jokes, the passing of a human being. If I were to say that, rightfully so, we'd have people fleeing this show left and right. But because Kank is a diehard far-left radical liberal and therefore a protected class, he can literally dance on the grave of a dead American patriot, nearly celebrate it, make fun of him while his body's still warm and the family's not even close to done grieving. He can do it and nothing will happen to Kank at all. Just remember that if you ever watch this guy's show. Remember who he is. I just want to recognize also that when civil rights hero John Lewis died, that it was conservatives, blue check mark, social media, Facebook, elsewhere, that acknowledged the accomplishments of John Lewis. You didn't have to agree with his politics. That wasn't necessary. But what the man did on the Pettus Bridge was real and should have been acknowledged by people. You can disagree with his politics later. God knows I did. But there were no conservatives, serious people celebrating his death like the ghouls the lefts are. You think I'm crazy? You think it was just Kank? Here's another life loser and a total zero, fake duff guy, tricep extension guy, Chris Cuomo at CNN, who takes this opportunity on his show to not thank Herman Cain for his accomplishments, but to subtly try to pin the death of Herman Cain on the fact that he attended the Tulsa rally. Listen to this. He says this, by the way, which he acknowledges in his own clip. He has no evidence whatsoever that Herman Cain, who was at Donald Trump's Tulsa rally, contracted the virus. None. But he decides to bring it up anyway because he's a soulless loser and a total ghoul, a life loser who grew up in a pampered lifestyle. Again, thank the Lord Almighty, you are not Chris Cuomo or Kank. Here's Chris Cuomo dancing on a dead man's grave.
The virus is rapidly swallowing us. All colors, all stripes, all creeds. It just took a former presidential candidate, Herman Cain. Yes, he supported the president. The president says he was a good friend of his. We wish his family well, and we wish that he rest in peace. And I wish that this president have no peace until he thinks about what he's exposing people to. He didn't even mention that Mr. Cain was at his rally among the maskless masses right before he was diagnosed. Now, maybe he didn't get it there. Sure as hell didn't help.
Yeah. Now, again, just to roll reverse for a minute to show you what kind of a ghoul this life loser Cuomo is. Why was that necessary? You have no evidence whatsoever, none, which you even acknowledge it, that Herman Cain contracted this virus at this Trump rally and told none. Paula brought up an interesting point this morning. Herman Cain was around a lot of people at that rally. None of them seem to have it. You have no evidence. The man just died yesterday. And you feel the need to make it a partisan attack on President Trump? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what leftist ghouls do because they are evil people. I don't toss that word around lightly. I am not talking about all Democrats and voting Democrats and, moderates. And I'm not talking about that. I mean that. I don't stereotype people like the left does to us. I'm talking about this radical wing of the party and a growing number of Democrats, liberals who identify as Democrats, who do things like this, like Kank and Cuomo. And yet sponsors, everyone, nobody cares. You'll boycott a conservative who even hints at it. Can you imagine for a moment if you use the death of a human being to leverage a political cause and it was a conservative doing it? I mean, imagine for a moment if civil rights icon John Lewis, upon his death, conservatives took to Twitter to say, hey, he was a great guy, but let me just say, his comments about this, or everyone should be embarrassed in the Democrat Party. Can you imagine the backlash? Of course you can. It would be inappropriate. That's why conservatives don't do it. And that's why I'll reiterate again, seriously, thank the Lord today, you are not them. That we fight with dignity and courage. We fight. We're the warriors, not the left. The left are cowards. Cuomo is a total, complete chump. A total coward. So's Kank. Big puff bags, all of them. Blowers, puffery, chest thumping, all the things. It's all they are. It's all talk. You're not them. We're the real warriors. But we still have a code. We still have a code. We live by that code. They have no code. These are genuinely evil, spineless, soulless people.
You just heard Dan Bongino.